ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new video. You know, a lot of people have contacted me over the years and asked if there's a specific formula for raising Kundalini. And although I do have a formula, there goes a walnut, that I've put together, I cannot share it here on YouTube. I just can't, and there's a handful of reasons why. And maybe we'll get into that in the near future. I'm not sure. With the way things are looking here on Earth right now, they're not looking too good. So let's hope that that changes first and foremost before we worry about stuff like that. But Kundalini is a exceptionally dangerous energy. And those who say it's not clearly have never undergone the transformative properties of this energy. Kundalini is an ancient energy pathway system that is embedded into our bodies and our minds, ladies and gentlemen. And it has been selectively bred out of us by the New World Order. They have erected a system whereby living here in the Matrix and abiding to its rules, it separates you from these ancient energy pathways within your body. Now, if you don't believe me, if you think I sound crazy, I do not give a damn. I do not give a goddamn flying fuck what the unconscious masses think. I know that this energy system is 100%, 10,000%, 1,000,000% real, and that it is literally the crux of all the alchemical lore available to us. It is the literal foundation of the most potent symbolism in stories, movies. It is the symbolism of the hero conquering all. It's everything, ladies and gentlemen. Kundalini is everything because it allows you to become what you were designed to become. However, here in the Matrix, as I just said, we've had this energy, in the path of this energy, the movement of this energy, selectively bred out of us. And we've learned to identify with this fake version of ourself, which is the complete opposite of what we were designed to be. Now, you've become so hopelessly dependent on the fake version of yourself that you actually identify with it as if it's the real you. When this energy moves through your system, it, like butter being melted in a microwave, destroys every little iota of connection that you have to the false version of yourself. Now, for you to act like that's just some peachy, creamy, easy thing, you know, love and light, all this bullshit, you are misguiding yourself exponentially. It is not an easy thing to go through. So for all the idiots who get on my channel and act like I'm not even going to get into it, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I don't mean to pass judgment, but it gets to a point where it's enough's enough. Now, here in the West, we have a bastardized version of Kundalini that's being advertised to the so-called woke conscious people. And this version of Kundalini is so far from the truth, and it is such a bastardization of what it actually is that it makes me sick. All these people who get together in these yoga classes and act like they're awakening their Kundalini and all this other nonsense. It's a giant game of make-believe, ladies and gentlemen. This energy is highly destructive in a very divine way. It melts you down to your core. It separates all the dross out of your system. It literally destroys you so that you can be rebuilt. What do you think the symbolism of Osiris being broken apart into pieces and scattered throughout Egypt for Isis to rebuild? I mean, there's so much symbolism out there in all these old stories, etc., about Kundalini. It is a destructive energy. It is a catastrophically destructive energy, but it's only destructive because it seeks to do, how would I put it? Let's just put it this way. Say, for instance, you have a house, and underneath the foundation of your house, there's a thick layer of concrete, and underneath that concrete, there's a giant box or a treasure chest of gems. And in order for you to get underneath that concrete, you have to break through the concrete to get those gems. You can't just use wishful thinking and hope that the the treasure chest is just going to float one day through the concrete. No, you have to use destructive force to break things apart so that you can get underneath it. That is what the Kundalini does. So right now here in 2020, and for the past 10 years, I've seen a complete whitewashing, a bastardization of the truth of Kundalini being spread by charlatans, imposters, you name it, here on the web. And it's just incredible. These people playing make-believe and acting like they're close to something that they're clearly not close to at all. Kundalini is a destructive force, ladies and gentlemen. It breaks so that it can rebuild. And the majority of the people who experience this energy, they get sick. They do not know how to integrate the destructive nature of this force because it has no sympathy for your bullshit. It is the definition of tough love times 1,000. We are so pampered here in the West. We are so conditioned. We are so accustomed to our fake lives that this energy, it is going to wreak havoc on people, the majority of the people who experience it. So Kundalini is not evil, ladies and gentlemen. You know what is evil? The belief systems that you harbor that require such destruction to break them free or to destroy them. That's what's evil. So nowadays we have all these people who are coming out and saying Kundalini's evil, that it's a demonic spirit and all this other nonsense, and people saying that, oh, Kundalini led me back to Christ, blah, blah, blah. Do you even know what Kundalini brings you to the Christ, fool? The real Christ, not your nonsense that's been scribed in the dead pages of books that you cling to out of your fear. Kundalini led me back to Christ. Kundalini's evil? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You clearly have never experienced this. Kundalini allows you to not just read about God in books, but to know God directly. You people are lying fools. And I'm just getting sick and tired of it, ladies and gentlemen. This world is absolutely fake, filled full of bullshit and filled full of fake people. I'm tired of holding my tongue about it. The more conscious you get, ladies and gentlemen, the more of a short fuse you're going to have. It's just, you don't have time for nonsense. You don't have time to go so slowly at everyone else's pace. Once you get conscious, ladies and gentlemen, you realize reality for what it is, and you develop a method of getting from point A to point B. You don't have time, instead of going from point A to point B, to go in some huge circle on behalf of other people and their delicate sensibilities. I hope that makes sense. Kundalini is a distillation process for the human body, soul, and mind, ladies and gentlemen. Distillation is not some benevolent, peachy cream, it spreads on butter kind of bullshit. It's a destructive process, a beautifully destructive process. But we've had this energy, we've had this energetic channel, these channels within us that the Kundalini moves through, these circuits, we've had them selectively bred out of us. And the New World Order does this in a handful of different ways, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just the television, it's not just the advertisements that you're exposed to, it's not just, the typical culprits when it comes to mind control. It's the education system. First and foremost, they took you at a very young age and repositioned your assemblage point. They took the magic of your youth, which we need in order to be connected to this ancient energy system, this Kundalini. They took the magic of your youth and stole it from you, and they gave you nothing in return, ladies and gentlemen. They stole the magic from you, and they piled layers of shit upon shit upon shit upon shit on top of you. They repositioned your assemblage point. You don't even know that happened. And now you are who you are. You think you're your name. You think you're your job. You think you're, your degree and all this other nonsense. You've been programmed. You've been brainwashed. And there's a good chance you probably don't even know it happened. That's how genius the mind control is, ladies and gentlemen. It brainwashes you while at the same time making you think you're not brainwashed. And as it brainwashes you, it replaces your mind with a narcissistic ego complex where you think you know everything and you think that you're just the greatest thing ever. It is a disgusting thing what has happened to humanity, and it's also disgusting to witness how humans have bought into it. You see, we have a mind, we have a soul, we have and the ability, ladies and gentlemen, to contemplate things, to question things, and to see human beings squander our questioning abilities and just buy into this way of living is one of the most nauseatingly disgusting things to witness. It is disgusting. And I don't have patience. I haven't had patience for people in a long time, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't care if you think I sound hateful. I don't care if you think I sound angry. I don't have time to walk when I need to run. Now, if you want to walk your whole life, that's fine. But I can guarantee you're not going to cover as much ground as you would if you learn to run, if you learn to move, if you learn to take life a little bit more seriously and just instead of just thinking that it's just about your pleasure and enjoying the little things in life and all this other nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. No, we're being lied to. We have a new world order takeover taking place right now here in 2020. They are making their moves, fool. It is time to wake up. If you want to stay in the bottom of the blender before it turns on, then go ahead. But I'm going to do my best to find a way out of this fucking mess. Because it is a mess. It's a disgusting mess. It is an absolutely atrocious, disgusting mess what is going on right now, ladies and gentlemen, with all of the things being pushed right now, and I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go into too much detail about it. I'd like to keep my channel, but I think you catch my drift, folks. So it would be in your best interest to learn where you're leaking your energy and to plug those, patch those holes. Kundalini is an ancient energy system that has been bred out of us by the New World Order through the education system, through the traumas that we go through when we're younger. I mean, let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, the majority of people who have children, they don't even have their own shit together. So what makes you think that two people who don't even have their shit together, who don't know up from down, right from left, you name it, what makes you think that they're going to be able to raise a child properly? And not fill his or her mind with a bunch of bullshit or force them to have all these vaccinations or go through the education system and do all this nonsensical bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. You see, regardless of how well-meaning people are, that doesn't mean that they're doing the right thing. I'm so sick of this idea of, oh, everyone's doing their best, blah, blah, blah. Are they? Are they really? Or are they not using their own discernment processes and gauging what's and not actually trying to uncover what's really going on here, folks? I hope that makes sense. Excuse me. But I see people, I see people with young children all the time, and it's like, just looking at them, it's like, wow, that child doesn't have much of a chance. It's sad, but it's true. How are you going to have much of a chance when your father and your mother, they're idiots? Now, you may think I sound rude, but I don't give a damn. It's the truth. It's the goddamn truth. Wake up. So, there's a serious problem here in this matrix right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's the fact that the matrix exists, that's the problem, and we allow it to exist. We've allowed it for so long that we have Stockholm Syndrome, and the majority of us don't even know that the matrix is erected anymore, even though it's all around us. It's ingenious mind control, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely diabolically genius. It simply is. And for as much as I hate the Archon, for as much as I hate the control field, the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen, I admire its ability to never rest, to get things done. It works harder than we do. It works harder than we do. So again, we've had the Kundalini selectively bred out of us. From the chairs that we sit on in school, how they destroy your posture. the food that we eat. I mean, it's just insane. We were never taught how to breathe properly. Breath work has a lot to do with the Kundalini energy, ladies and gentlemen. And we also live in a world where excessive amounts of sex is plastered everywhere. It's thrown down our throats. And we know through studying the power, the restorative powers of sexual energy, ladies and gentlemen, that holding on to your sexual energy and not just spilling it constantly is one of the keys to, energetic accumulation or acquisition. So the world exists. The world to me is a conveyor belt that we've all been thrown on. And as you pass through the conveyor belt, because you can't get off of it, you all have to live here in the matrix. You can't escape it. That's what the conveyor belt is. So when you're on the conveyor belt, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. You have two options. You can either become comfortable with the conveyor belt and just go along with it and, buy into all of its bullshit, all the crap along the way that it tries to throw at you, or you can learn to reject all that nonsense and try to figure a way off of the goddamn conveyor belt. Or instead of just floating down the conveyor belt, try walking the opposite direction. Start running the opposite direction and you will see, if you do that, and that's a metaphor for questioning things, you will see, ladies and gentlemen, that you've been lied to exponentially by the world that you live in. You've had a handful of bullshit thrown into your awareness field at a very young age, and it was a lot of information. So your mind categorized all of that information and stored it in units. And those units, ladies and gentlemen, become the lens at which you look at reality through, which is how you create your belief systems. You had the magic of your youth literally stolen from you. And you don't find that to be a problem? Oh, but you think that's all just for children and you had to grow up because you got to put food on the table and all these other bullshit little stories that you tell yourself in your feeble attempt to make sense of your brainwashing. Snap out of it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sick of hearing that. I've got to put food on the table, bro. Got to feed my family. Don't act like a victim. You chose to get married. You chose to have a family. And most of the people who are saying that, got to put food on the table, man, they're overweight. They don't look healthy. You don't even know what's more important, putting food on the table or knowing the right foods to put on the table. Most of the people who say all this crap, who sympathize with their poverty or whatever the hell they're going through, they don't look healthy. Got to put food on the table, bro. Well, I'm glad you don't even know how to put the right food on the table so that you don't get sick. This is an insane world, ladies and gentlemen, and if you cannot see it, you are blind. You have had I'm not even going to say that. So the Kundalini energy wakes up, and as it rises up the cerebral spinal system, it breaks free all of the locks on your energetic pylons, which are your chakras, ladies and gentlemen. And these chakras are responsible for creating your reality by allowing you to actually interact with the electromagnetic field. So depending on the degree of energy you have moving through these chakras dictates how much of the electromagnetic spectrum you can actually interact with, perceive, you name it. So if your chakras aren't working properly, if your energy field, if your energetic systems, your meridians, you name it, aren't working at full capacity, then you exist within a tiny little fraction of your potential and you only see about an inch of the whole 12-inch perspective. I hope that makes sense. You're in a limited state. And when you're in a limited state, you operate in a limited state and you think in a limited way. You react in a limited way and you don't have an overall picture to gauge what's right and wrong. You're just in this tiny little fractionized state. It's ridiculous. And in this little fraction of this fraction of your potential, you developed your beliefs about the world and who you are, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, there's this whole bigger picture. It's kind of like when Castaneda, ladies and gentlemen, in his book, what's the name of that book? Is it Tales of Power? I can't remember which of Carlos Castaneda's books, where he, Don Juan specifically talks about how there's a difference between looking at something and seeing it. Any fool can look at something, but to actually see it is much different. And what he's trying to say there, ladies and gentlemen, is that people just look at, when they see things, when they look at things, they see the immediate thing in front of their face. They don't see the bigger picture. So like right now, when you look at a tree, you're looking at the tree. You don't see all of the energy fields. You don't see what's known as the God grid, which is the vast labyrinth of intelligent, energetic filaments and fibers that create this scaffolding that holds the matrix together, or at least holds the natural world together. So the Archon, ladies and gentlemen, we have the God grid, and then the Archon has what I call the Archon's jail grid, which is a grid that's been erected inside the God grid to actually suck energy out of this natural world. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I've talked about it extensively in other videos. Please go check those videos out if you want to learn more about it. So what am I trying to convey with this message? I'm trying to convey that Kundalini is an ancient energetic distribution system within our body that, when awakened, forces our consciousness into drastically altered states of being that resemble highly hallucinogenic states based on how these tryptamines release when we experience Kundalini. When you experience Kundalini, you see the energy fields around everything. And to act like you can just go from your little prison state that you're in now to that immediately is ridiculous. I'm not currently in a state of Kundalini. I've experienced it on a handful of occasions, however, and I do know that it's part of our way out of this matrix. I'm not necessarily saying that it's the whole picture. I am, however, saying, ladies and gentlemen, that it can be used as a war weapon against the evil that is currently trying to turn us into these slaves by taking away our power, by causing us to operate in a very limited state of our potential. But we need to strive for the truth. Most of the people talking about Kundalini have either never experienced it or are deluding themselves. You will know when you experience Kundalini, ladies and gentlemen. It is undeniable. You don't have to look up on the internet whether you had an experience with it or not. It tells you what it is. This is an ancient system that is deeply contained within each of our cells that we have the ability to wake up. We'll talk more about that waking up process in the near future. I'm going to wrap this one up. My battery's about to die. Peace be with you all.